Hey, what's going on? This is James. Welcome to today's show. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody to subscribe, click the bell, hit all the notifications so you get everything that I do notified for you. So let's get started. How many lives will politicians sacrifice in the name of fighting CV? In a world of scarcity, there are no solutions, only trade offs. That's very true, very true. Um, Basically, this article is just saying that all the politicians are focusing on saving lives, which is good. I mean, obviously, saving lives is good, but they're saying even if one life is saved, um, like Cuomo said here, as Heather McDonald wrote in the recent American Greatness piece. The focus on saving just one life from the CV, as Cuomo put in March, to the exclusion of all other considerations, likely will prove a catastrophic failure of policymaking. They're all saying, we got to do whatever we can do, even if we save one life, it's worth it. And I don't know, we're going to make the case a little bit on how that's not 100% the case. Um, Locking down is a health risk of its own. Um, there's many reasons. One of them is suicide, and we've gone over this before. Right here, research has clearly shown a positive correlation between increased unemployment and suicide rates. A study published by The Lancet found that the relative risk of suicide associated with unemployment was elevated by about 20 to 30% in their study period. And what they're saying is, it's gonna end. It's not gonna be that long. Well, we're running into 3 months, and the suicide rate has skyrocketed, and yeah, so we're well over one life being saved, being worth it all in that respect alone. Um, Another thing that goes on in this article, they basically said there's going to be opiate deaths increased by 3.6%. Emergency room visits increased by 7%, right? This is in a study from 2017 when unemployment rises, okay? So that's kind of ironic. And then the fact that people, when they're stressed, their immune system goes down, and so you're more susceptible to getting the same thing that they're trying to keep you from getting, which is a cluster mess, right? Also accompanying the global economic crisis triggered by the CV lockdowns will be the mass starvation. We went over this before, right? Highlighted in the UN report. 265 million people are set to starve. Um, and that's just a few things here. And I'm not going to go into everything. If you want to look up this article, I'm going to start trying to link these in my thing, in my feed, so you guys can find them easier. This goes into the next article. 1.4 million people to die from untreated tuberculosis due to the CV lockdown, saving lives or costing them. Around 1.4 million people are expected to die from untreated TB infections due to the CV lockdown, according to research published by Imperial College London and Johns Hopkins University. It says up to 6.3 million more people are predicted to develop TB between now and 2025, and 1.4 million more people are expected to die as cases go undiagnosed and untreated during lockdown. All right, so again, they're trying to save lives. If even one person gets saved from dying from this um, disease, it's worth it, right? Don't worry about the other 1.4 million people that are set to die from untreated TB. And that's not to mention the fact that the hospitals, nobody wants to go to the hospitals, right? Um, yeah, this goes into more detail there. Why farmers dump food and crops while grocery stores run dry and Americans struggle. And this goes into, tries to explain it, but I just basically pulled this to show you that that's what's happening. We've got grocery stores that are running out of food. I mean, we see that the food's still there, but anybody goes to the store, there's certain things you can't find, almost impossible. Flour, yeast, just all sorts of different things. And things are limited, right? Let's just put it that way, okay? But we're dumping food and crops because of this whole thing. So it's all leading to food shortages. Russia halts wheat exports, deepening fears of global food shortages. So we have so many things. I didn't even pull up the locusts. Okay, the locusts in Africa and the locusts in Australia that are eating upwards of 35,000 worth of food for people a day uh, in Africa, and it's set to be 20 times worse. It probably is by now. The second wave of that was coming, and then you couple that with all the water flooding and all the droughts in different areas around the world, specifically in the United States, and the fact that our the food meat production, the Tyson, the Smithfield, all the meat packing plants are shut down. So where's the food coming from? I hear this from people all the time. They said, "Oh, dude, the food's not going anywhere. It's on the shelf, man. And it'll just keep coming because it's magic." Well, I added the last part. It's not magic. It's got to come from somewhere. Somebody's got to make the food, pick it, get the wheat, process it, package it, ship it. And we're already seeing by just this farming one, right? Okay, the farming article, they can't even pick the vegetables and get them shipped, or the milk or any of that stuff, the livestock, to get it to where us to the shelves right now. So without the food processing, where's the food going to come from? At some point, that food's not going to be there. And I would say that that time is coming soon. And I would suggest getting food now while you can. CV pandemic would put 265 million worldwide at risk of starvation. So I just pulled this up basically to reiterate, because I talked about this last week. This is what we're talking about. Okay, so as they're worried about thousands of people dying from this disease, we're talking about millions in several different ways: starvation, tuberculosis, and not to mention all the deaths of suicide and all of those things I just listed. It's a trade-off. We're not stopping anything. We're just trading one death for a bunch of other deaths, and we're losing our rights in the same process, in the same time period. And it's not good. California to mail all voter ballots for November election. Governor Gavin Newsom on Friday made California the first state to alter its plans for the general election in response to the CV problem. And I think this is a problem. And it's not constitutional. We're supposed to vote by ballot, right? Not in person. And I feel like this is an added benefit for them, because it's a lot easier to get voter fraud through. I mean, anybody that paid attention to the 2018 elections, as truck after truck showed up with absentee ballots a week after the election was done, which I still don't know why that wasn't contested in several states that were turned over. I smell a rat. I smell something fishy, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go very good for the American people. And I don't care if you're on the left or the right. We should want to have elections that aren't fraudulent, Like, everybody was up in arms about how Russia messed with the elections. Do you not think that they could, if that was true, which I don't believe it was, but if it was true, do you think that they could actually manipulate this election through absentee ballots or through mail-in votes? Yeah, this is kind of weird. Okay, and I saw this on Marfugal News. If you don't watch Marfugal News, check it out. It's one of the best news podcasts out there. And I was just watching his show, and he went over this a little bit. Seattle to permanently close 20 miles of street to traffic so residents can exercise and bike on them. Okay, and this article goes into, this was already done, right? This was done, I think, when it first started. Okay, but now they're saying it's permanent. It's not temporary. See, it started in April to temporarily provide more space for residents to get out of the house and exercise while maintaining social distancing during this P. Seattle Mayor Jenny A. Durkar said Thursday that the closures will be permanent. So that's kind of interesting right there, as they're saying it's temporary in one sentence and it's turned out to be permanent by the end of the sentence. And I think there's agenda here. Okay. And this is happening nationwide. This isn't just in Seattle. I just pulled up 4. Oakland closing additional streets to cars to promote social distancing. Nashville closing streets to local access to promote social distancing. New Mexico town. Oh, that's not another one. That's something completely different. But so these 3, and this is just 3 out of many, are just closing roads in major areas, and they're saying it's to give people place to run and hang out and social distance. But I don't know. It just seems very bizarre, and it seems very going along with the whole agenda of getting people to not drive is what I think is going to eventually happen. It's going to be a cluster mess in these areas, and I don't know what people are going to do. How are you going to get around these major towns or these cities that are already a nightmare to navigate without these roads? And I think it has to do with global warming, which I don't believe in. So this New Mexico town near vast U.S. reservation shuts everyone out. Okay, it's Gallup, New Mexico. And they're just shutting the whole place down. They're not letting anybody in or out, pretty much, that to visitors, right? Not now, it says, and they say it's to because there's 31 dead and 1,400 people, and it's out of control, right? This disease, and it's now isolating these people on these reservations. They feel like it's racism, and I don't know if it's not. Like, nobody's able to go in there and buy their products or shop their stores anymore. So what happens to everybody in Gallup, New Mexico, as all of this is happening? And where's anybody that wants to stand up for our rights that are just disappearing, and they're just shutting towns down in the middle of nowhere? If you've ever been to Gallup, New Mexico, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the middle of nowhere. I drove through, we drove through really late at night. We stayed in a hotel, and it was the deadest town I've ever been in. All right. Murder hornets in the U.S. The rush to stop the Asian giant hornet. And this is actually kind of a problem because they kill bees, honeybees, and we already need the honeybees. We're already way, way down on them. Population, and that's what populates, or a good portion of what populates or pollinates our food, right? Now we have the Washington State declaring emergency over the invasive gypsy moths, and I guess they eat a lot of plantation trees and whatnot. Now, to be fair, this has been going on. They've been battling this since 1974, and they've pretty much kept it under control. But I just thought the timing of it was very interesting. Just one more thing on top of everything else that we really don't need right now, right? All right, this is the meat of it. Okay. San Diego County says county to require mask wearing for all starting May 1st. The move to require face coverings may actually be seen as a step forward reopening San Diego County. Okay, we can't open without the masks, dude. We have to. Everybody's got to be wearing a mask. Or a really fashionable one too. And this is going on. I just went to a convenience store recently here in Colorado, and it said you had to have a mask on, and due to regulations that don't exist in our state. And I went in and I told the guy exactly that, and he admitted that they their bosses said, "Oh yeah, we know that it's going to be hard to enforce." So they're just putting it up there to see, I believe, to see what they'll get people will do. Okay, so it says in the new normal, Kentuckians will be asked to start wearing masks in public as of May 11th. Okay, Governor Andy Bashar announced on Monday that Kentuckians will be asked to wear face masks in public effective May 11th. Well, I'll tell you what, if I lived in Kentucky, I would not be wearing the face mask because science says it doesn't help. And I'll explain why shortly here. There's a lot of different reasons. I believe it's optics, and I'll tell you what, a bandana is not keeping anything out. And they say, well, you might cough or sneeze. Well, what about my sleeve? Am I an adult to where I could stop myself? I can sneeze into my arm, I can cough into my arm. And there's studies saying that it doesn't matter. And they told us just as much not too long ago. Costco to require all shoppers to wear face masks in Washington. Costco will soon begin, and I don't know if it's here in Colorado or not, but I'm not going to go to any places that are requiring me to. And they say you can have medical conditions. One of them is a mental condition. They say if you're too stressed out or you got anxiety, then you don't need to wear the mask. Well, I have anxiety. I will have anxiety if I have to wear the mask. So I'm not going to wear it. And I think people need to push it. I think what people need to do is they need to get a group of 50 people that all go in at the same time and all refuse to wear the mask at the same time and then see what happens. It's just like in Texas where that lady was going to get put in jail for a week and she stood up for her rights. And the judge sentenced her to a week in jail, and the president wrote an executive order going over that because it's not constitutional. So all you people that say the president, Orange Man Bad, is horrible, he's the only one standing up for your rights right now. Policy which goes into effect on May 4th will mandate that all guests must wear a mask or face covering that covers the mouth and nose at all times while at Costco. Exceptions will be made to those under 2 and who are unable to wear a mask due to a medical condition. Like I said, there's a lot of different medical conditions. And I got anxiety, bro. Oh, Cuomo, man. He's so cool, right? Not wearing a mask is disrespectful to frontline workers. You're disrespectful to the human race. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said Sunday those who do not wear masks are disrespecting frontline workers, putting their lives in danger to help put a stop to this deadly disease. And I'm trying to avoid saying certain words because they do. I've watched my analytics and there's just certain ones that I've said stuff and I was like, all of a sudden nobody watches that particular video because it doesn't get pushed at all. Katie Hill, disgraced Katie Hill, having a lover with her husband and getting caught in it and having to step down. Now she's coming giving us advice. Every time a person walks by without a mask, I feel like they are shouting "F you" right in my face because they basically are. Don't be an a-hole. Wear a mask. How about you don't be a bee and you get out of my face and out of my life because I'm not going to listen to you, Katie Hill. You can't tell me what to do. And besides the fact, you disgraced yourself in a way that is disgusting. So I'm not going to listen to you for that reason either. All right. So celebrities like Gwyneth, this is from, when was this? February 27th. Okay. Celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow and Kate Hudson are wearing masks to protect against the CV, but they're promoting a dangerous myth. Oh, well, what's the myth? So since the first case of the novel CV was reported in December, the disease has spread to 47 countries, infected 81,000 people, and killed 2,760. Says celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Hudson, Selena Gomez, Bella Hadid have posted pictures on social media making them of themselves taking precaution against the virus by sporting face masks. But no health organization has recommended that healthy people wear surgical masks and N95 respirator masks. And this is the key right here. Okay. These ones, not a bandana even. Healthy people buying masks could worsen the shortage of them. It would be more effective if celebrities promoted hand washing. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so in this article, they're basically saying experts say the general public should not follow their lead because masks are pointless for healthy people. Masks are pointless, right? These are what the medical experts are saying, okay? Just a couple months ago, month and a half ago. People have no memory. But now we're disrespectful if we don't wear the mask. We have to wear the mask. You see what's happening This is 1984 to a T. You know, double think. We're gonna tell you one thing, we're gonna tell you the complete opposite, and the sheep are gonna jump too. They're gonna believe everything they're told, back and forth, back and forth. Tomorrow they could say they don't wear. You don't have to wear a mask, man. You're bad again, and everyone would stop wearing them. And I would still not wear them. Okay, so this is where says this is actually a really good article from the California Globe. It's like from what was his name? Michael Robertson. Okay, it says why I'm not wearing a mask with a transmission rate of only 0.2% in an active social arena. Wearing masks in a casual environment does not reduce flu infection rates. Okay, this goes into all sorts of stuff, but this is the part I was going to highlight. Research by the National Guard or National Center for Immunization Research and Surveillance in Australia shows that transmission in CV-19 infected people, even in close contact with others in a high intensity school environment, is tiny. They arrived at this conclusion by identifying 18 infected individuals and tracking their movements from March to mid-April. 9 infected students and 9 infected staff across 15 schools were followed, and essentially they came in contact with 735 students and 128 staff members who came in close contact with these in a school environment with these 18 cases, and only 2 infections were identified out of all of those people, which is a 0.2% active social area such as school without masks. So this is no masks, okay? It's easy to see how wearing masks in a casual environment would not reduce flu infection rates, specifically since the likelihood of infection from a brief interaction such as a store is so small, or masks are irrelevant, okay? So because we're already 6 feet apart, everybody's staying away from each other, and we're being adults, we're doing what we should do, we're not, we're standing back, our lines are long now because of it. Says it's reasonable to ask if there's possible harm from mask usage. Anyone who has worn one while painting or construction or any extended period of time knows that they quickly become moist and slimy, which is the ideal breeding ground for bacteria and viruses. Pathogens trapped in the mask have ideal conditions to grow, exposing the wearer to an increased risk unless the mask is disposed of after every use or chemically disinfected. Says one study looked at 1,607 medical care workers and found that cloth masks lead to higher respiratory infection rates. Okay, so cloth masks or bandanas or whatever. The rate of influenza-like illness is statistically significantly higher with cloth masks, that they concluded. It says disturbingly, the CV is an influenza-like virus which attacks the respiratory system. So it's possible cloth mask wearers may have a higher rate of contracting CV. They speculate that moisture retention, reuse of cloth masks, and poor filtration may result in increased risk of infection. So not to mention that you're not breathing in oxygen. You're limiting your oxygen intake. If anybody's worn those, it's you're not breathing in as much as you need to. It's just, there's just not a reason for it. And what they tell you is we're all contagious. You might sneeze, you might cough, and the whole world will end. So put your mask on, slave, and is basically what I hear. So yeah, that went a little bit quicker than I thought. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the fun stuff. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next one.